Good afternoon. My name's Chris Gunn, and once again, welcome to my channel, Chris Gunn's Bourbon Barrel Creations. So it's Friday afternoon, getting ready to go into the weekend. The hurricane that we thought was going to come right up the middle of Georgia and probably hit us last night, I believe sometime in the middle of the night, it veered a little bit east, and my understanding is it went up more down the coast of Georgia than down the middle. So we're very fortunate because we live over here in Phoenix City, which is just right across the river from Georgia. But my prayers go out to everybody who's been affected by this thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are nowhere near as lucky as me and my family were. So once again, my prayers go out to you. But what I want to talk about today is this is kind of a two of a three-part series. You know, in the first part, I talked about kind of my unique wild turkey expressions. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my BTAC collection, my Buffalo Trace Allocated Collection. This, in no way, shape, or form, is made by Buffalo Trace, and it's not a George Stagg, and it's not an Eagle Rare 17-year or Thomas Handy or any of those. But this, to me, is what I consider my BTAC collection, because this is the one thing that I will religiously hunt after every year. There's kind of a running joke between me and my wife that I wish they'd just quit making them, and then I wouldn't have to chase them no more. But they won't, and I'm good with that. So anyway, what you see here is all 10 of them, and so they put them out once a year. Generally, they'll put them out. I want to say springtime, going into summer is when they'll make the announcement, and then you'll start seeing them if you're lucky in the stores soon after that. Now, Georgia's not one place that gets a lot of the, these. So I've had to do quite a bit of hunting, and I'll talk about that in each one as I kind of walk you through each one. But before I get started, I just want to, say what's in my glass. And I thought for something of this occasion, when you're going to talk about something as special as the Wild Turkey Masters Keeps, nothing would do but to have something as special. And what I have in this glass right now is I have Russell's Single Rick House Camp Nelson at Sea. And that particular bottle was given to me by a real good friend of mine, Chris Williams. So Chris, to you, cheers, and thank you for the gift that you gave me. Yeah, you can never go wrong with Russell's, never. Okay, so let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is the very first one that ever came out. So, before I kind of talk about this, I talked about this in a previous video. The presentation on these is second to none. I mean, you get this absolutely beautiful box, and as you look at it, it's got the placard that kind of tells you what unique expression of Master Keep you have, and you can kind of see the turkeys on the placard, but the turkey also wraps around the box. And then each one of the boxes are, they're going to be different colors. Man, this thing's dusty. I need to get up here and do some dusting. And then when you open it up, it tells you what's essentially in the bottle, and then you have the bottle. The bottles themselves, they're beautiful. They've got the spread fanned turkey like he's flying, and it wraps around the bottle. And then the cork in the bottle is it's a fairly heavy brass cork. I mean, I guess if I was drinking this and getting robbed and somebody come through the door, I could probably throw it at them and probably knock them out. So I got that going for me. Okay, so the first one that ever came out was the Wild Turkey 17-year. And so this one, I came across this one. Essentially, there's two different 17-year-olds, and I'll talk about the other one later. But I had found the other one before I found this one. And I was kind of skeptical I'd ever get my hands on this one, because this was the first one. It was a 17-year-old wild turkey, so I thought for sure this one would be kind of hard to find. I got the other 17-year-old, and then my wife was going to buy me this one, and she bought Fruit Bat. Is a place online that you can generally find these at. Now you're going to pay secondary price, but Fruit Bat's pretty cool, because Fruit Bat does, they do deliver on what they say they got. I'm at a point now that I shop with them complete confidence, and I'm sure they love my money. But anyway, my wife had bought me a second bottle of the other one, thinking it was this one. And so when I got it, I was like, well, honey, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but that is not the actual one I needed. And, but whatever. I got a backup bottle of the other one, so I'm good to go. But I got a friend of mine, David. I call him Godfather. That's kind of the nickname I gave him because David is all things wild turkey. If you want to know something about wild turkey, David is the man to ask. And he's got an awesome story about an experience he had with Jimmy Russell, and that's his story to tell. So if he's ever up here and he wants to tell it, I'd love for him to tell the channel about it. But David actually had a backup bottle of this. Now, more than likely, David, being David and being the wild turkey fanatic he is, David probably had 3 or 4 backup bottles of this. And so David just basically said, we'll do a 1-for-1 trade. And I'm like, are you sure? Because this was the first one, and the one I got, I think, I want to say was the 6th expression. And he said, sure, whatever, you want it, you need it, I got it, so let's make it happen. So, and when he actually brought this over to my house to do the trade, he brought me a 2-ounce sample of this, so I got to try it too. I can tell you, it's everything you would expect in a 17-year-old wild turkey. It's very, very, you get the tannins in the wood, you get the age and everything in there, and it's just, it's really good. This is actually one of the few bottles I haven't opened in this collection. Just so let me be clear on this. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, set on bottles. I will open them and I will drink them. The only reason I haven't opened this one is because I've actually had what's in the bottle, and I'm just waiting for a special occasion to open it again. So that's kind of number one. That's the very first one that ever came out. Now, I'm not sure if this was the second or third one that came out, but I put it as the second one. I think it's the second one, the research I've done. And I've talked about this in a forum video I did. This is, in this room, this is my most prized possession. And this is the Master's Keep 1894. This was a New Zealand exclusive. You could only get it in that country. Now, there's a little bit of teeth gnashing among the bourbon community. Why does some of the best stuff go to other countries? Blanton's Gold for the longest time, you could only, the biggest place you could get it was Japan. The Takara, I think I'm saying that right, the Takara Red and Black and the Silver are all Japanese exclusive Blantons. But for this one in particular, I didn't think I'd ever get my hands on it. I knew a couple places that potentially had it, I just hadn't bought it. But the day we closed on the house that we're in now, which we call our forever home because this was the house we decided to build and move to when I retired from the Army. And the day we closed on this house, my wife handed me this and said, here. And this was what she gifted me. Now, I have heard, and I can't confirm it, that what's in this bottle is the same thing that's in the Decades bottle. And if that's the case, more power to you, because the Decades is absolutely phenomenal. So that's either number 2 or 3. Once again, I'm not 100% sure which one that is. But this brings me to the third bottle. This is the Decades. This bottle I found in my hometown of Warner Robins, and it was sitting on a shelf in a liquor store that you never get anything other than secondary price. And there was a right here on the bottom, there was like a sticker, and it said 100. I think it was 180 and some change. And it was way up on the top shelf. And I went in there and I said, hey, I want that Decades. No matter of fact, the sticker was there because I could still see where it made a little bit of a indentation on the, or made a little bit of a discoloration on the box. Whatever, I got it. So when he brought it down off the shelf, I could tell then he was pretty perturbed, because I think he even realized the mistake he had made at that point. There was no backing out of it. He had to sell it to me. Now, what's interesting about this is kind of homage to Eddie and Jimmy Russell. It's about, it talks about 2 decades of the Russell family, and it's they're on three generations that are working there now. So what's in this bottle is 10 to 20-year-old wild turkey, and that's just, it don't get no better than this. I know where another bottle of this is. I know I can't get them down on price on it. But at some point I might just have to suck the lemon and buy it. So that's kind of number 3. All right, so number 4 is, this one is wild turkey finished in, and I hope I say this right, I don't know if I ever say it right, a Lorzo sherry cask. If I understand the story right on this one, Eddie went overseas and he bought this barrel. He bought, like, I think 2 of them. The sherry cask barrels, and he brought them back to the distillery, and they put the wild turkey in there. If I'm not mistaken, this is probably one of the first times they ever did a a bourbon finished in anything. And man, this one's good. This one, of all the bottles, I put a dent in this bottle. But man, it's good. It's stone fruit. It's phenomenal. So that's kind of number 4. Okay, number 5. This is a rye whiskey. Now, this is the first time, my understanding, that I know it's the first time they did a Master's Keep rye versus a bourbon. So I talk about the Class 6 store on Fort Moore a lot. It's a special place to me. It's not only Tim, the store manager, but it's Mr. Tate. He works in the back. You got Carmen, you got Miss Gloria, you got and I just could ramble on and on and on. I just named a couple of people, and I'm sorry if I didn't name everybody, and I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but you're all special to me there. But when I first started going over there, he had like 3 of these sitting on the shelf behind the counter. And this was the first one I ever got. This was when I kind of got to the point I was going to be serious about some bourbon hunting. And so I was like, man, I do believe my voice cracked and went about 2 octaves there, but it's all good. But I picked this one up. At the time I should have picked up another one. David had told me at some point you could have found like 5 or 6 of these on the shelf every year, but then they started getting popular and then people ever wanted them. But anyway, this first one I ever got, first rye whiskey there, made. Okay, so moving along. So I talked about the 17-year, which was the first one. This is the other 17-year that was made. This is a bottled and bond. I haven't opened this one yet. Matter of fact, I'm not sure why I haven't opened it, and I'll probably rectify that fairly quick now that I think about it. Anyway, I got this in Warner Robins. There's a liquor store there. Crazy prices. I'm telling you, crazy prices. They got a 17 and 18-year Heaven Hill in there right now, and I'm not paying $2,500 or $3,000 for any bottle of bourbon. But for whatever reason, I got this one in there at a fairly reasonable price, and it was higher secondary than even I wanted to pay, but I knew that this was one of the ones I was gonna have a harder time finding. So I just sucked the egg on that one and went on and bought it. Okay, next one. This is one. This is a double oaked, and so the crazy thing about this one was I knew it was out, and I'd been hunting it pretty hard. And one day I went into the Class 6, and Tim was actually on the floor, and he was stocking shelves. And I'd made a comment to him. I was, I want to say it was Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. I was going to ask him if he was going to ever get any of that in. I believe that was the year this came out. It might have been something else, but I was asking Tim about something, and Tim made a comment to me. He says, well, he goes, I had to kind of talk to the people in the back that receive, because we got a whole case of Master's Keep, and they didn't know what they had, and they put it on the shelf, and people were buying 2 and 3 of them. And this was during kind of the height of the COVID, and so I had the COVID mask on, and I just looked at Tim, and I said, Tim, I swear, I feel like I am about to throw up in this COVID mask right now. I feel like I'm sick to my stomach. And he was like, oh man, are you all right, dude? You need to sit down. And I said, Tim, you don't know how hard I've hunted the Master's Keep 1. And then he looked at me, he just kind of smiled. He goes, really? Because I got an extra one in the back. And he knew I was probably going to come in there looking for it. So good old Tim, man. Tim takes care of everybody. I'm going to tell you, I said it before, the bourbon's great, but the friendships, man, they mean so much more to me. And Tim's friendship, I couldn't put a price on. So the next one after that. Okay, before I get to this one, I'm going to tell a backstory. So the last video I did where I talked about my Wild Turkey Unique Expressions, I missed the bottle. Okay, and the bottle I missed is this one right here. It's called Wild Turkey Forgiven. And so the story behind Wild Turkey Forgiven, this is a Boo Rye. Now, if you don't know what a Boo Rye is a mixture of bourbon and rye. I've opened this, as you can tell, the cork's broke. It didn't break off in the bottle, but it broke. And so I replaced the cork with another cork, which I think come out of Russell's Tin Ball. But anyway, this is the Wild Turkey Forgiven. Now, the reason this is called Forgiven was because the story behind this was an individual at the distillery poured, I believe, a barrel of rye into a vat of bourbon. And at the time, I believe it was Eddie Russell, said, "Oh my, you just ruined that whole, somebody said, you ruined that whole vat of bourbon." And then I believe it was Eddie came in, and Eddie, my understanding is Eddie's a pretty big rye drinker. He likes rye, and so good, because we all like, I like rye, and I'm glad that he likes them. But anyway, the story was they came in, they sampled it, and they said, "You know what, this is good. So you're forgiven." Okay, so that's the forgiven. That's the one bottle that I said I missed in the other video. So I'm going to set that, I'm going to just leave that sitting there. I keep the cork in the box because it came with the bottle. This bottle was a gift from me from my best friend, Dwight. I grew up with him. We went to high school together, and we graduated in 1987. So you figure out the math on how old I am. You can't tell by the beard, I'm pretty old. But when I retired from the Army, that was my retirement gift from Dwight. He found it up around Atlanta for me somewhere. Okay, so what does this bottle of Forgiven got to do with this Master's Keep? This Master's Keep is called Unforgotten. And it is a Boo Rye. It's the first time they did a Boo Rye Master's Keep. And it's good. It's really good. It's so good I got a backup bottle of this one. And I'll tell you the story of how I got the original and how I got the backup bottle. But it's called Unforgotten because the Boo Rye, or the Unforgiven, was never forgotten. So I got a friend of mine, Jeremy Lipsky. He's I talked about him before. He gave me the Wild Turkey Fantail Kentucky Spirit. But Jeremy's an officer in the Army, phenomenal officer, an infantry officer. And we got to be friends. A friend of mine, he in our bourbon club, he had posted a picture that he had a Starlight cigar batch. And I made a comment that, man, you look like you got 3 or 4 of those. If you ever want to part with one of them, I'd love to have one, because I'm a big fan of Starlight too. I love how they finish bourbons. And a couple of weeks later, I got a text from another friend of mine, Charles Smith, and he said, "Hey, Jeremy said that he thinks he can get you a bottle if you want it." And he did, because unknown to me at the time, Jeremy knew the master distiller of Starlight. So when I went over to his house to get the bottle, pay him for it, he brought me. We got to talk about how much I love Master's Keeps, and he brought me a sample down of his Unforgotten that he had. And then I made a comment to him, if you ever can find a second bottle, please let me know and I'll pay you for it. Well, Jeremy's bloodhound. I didn't know at the time. He'd sniff out any bourbon. He had a friend that worked, I believe what he told me was the gentleman worked in California. He stocked Costco's, and he got me the bottle at essentially MSRP. And so I was blown away that Jeremy found this bottle. Unbeknownst to me, my wife had bought me a bottle of it for my retirement gift. And so that's how I ended up with 2 of these. So, Unforgotten. Pretty good. Okay, the next one, I'm going to quit bringing them down because I just put them right back up. And I've only got 2 left. The next one, which I've got a backup bottle of too, is Voyage. This is Wild Turkey finished in a rum cask. Now, at this point, I knew I was getting fairly close. I had already closed the gap up to this point. I had every one of them, and then Voyage got announced. And I lost my ever-loving mind that I thought, I ain't going to be able to find this one. And so I was sitting in the house one Saturday. We were still living on base at the time. This is before we moved into the house we're in now. And I was purveying Facebook, and I just thought, let me see. Master Keep Voyage for sale. And it popped that it was in a store between Memphis, Tennessee, and Nashville. That was about 6 hours from where I was at. And so I called the store. The guy said he had it. I said, "Can I pay for it so you can hold it for me and I'll get up there tomorrow and get it?" And he said, "Absolutely not. But if you can get up here before I close tonight, I'll take it off the shelf. I'll put it behind the counter, and come tomorrow morning when I walk back, the store is going back on the shelf. It's the best I can do for you. I can't take credit cards over the phone." And so I said, "Fair enough. I'm on the road." And so my son jumped in the truck with me. This was probably about 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, and off we went. This merry little adventure, which entailed driving all the way up there, paid for the bottle. Some guy in line behind me goes, "Oh man, I wish You got two of them? No. Well, man, I sure would have liked to have that one. And I said, yeah. Unfortunately, I got it, buddy. And now I'm thinking in the back of my mind, and I'm not parting with it. And so I jumped right back in the truck. I think we stopped long enough to put gas in the truck and get a Sonic hamburger, and back to the house we went. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we were back home. So got that one, and then about a month later, Tim got a whole case of it. And so I bought a backup bottle because I've actually drank quite a bit of that one. As far as finishes go, I'm not the biggest fan of rum finishes. Rum's just not something I enjoy. I mean, I can drink it. I have drank some that's fairly good. Richland rum over in Richland, Georgia makes pretty good rum, but I hesitate to get to drinking rum too much and enjoying it because I can only afford one type of alcohol. I couldn't afford to be trying to buy two of them. But anyway, as far as rums go, I've got a Bardstown finished in a plantation rum over there that's pretty good, but this one's by far is better. But anyway, pretty darn good. Okay, and then the very last one. This is the Triumph. This is another rye, and this one came out this year. Now, I've been told, if you watch, I believe it's Jason C. at Mash and Drum, he did a side-by-side review, and I think he said that this one's got older rye whiskey in it. I know for a fact that the youngest rye whiskey in this bottle is 10 years. I haven't opened it yet. I haven't tried it. I'm just waiting for a special occasion. I'm kind of waiting till I can get probably my brother over here, and then I'll open it with him and let him try, because he loves Old Carter rye whiskey, and I did a review of that, talked about his love of that. But he's even said that he thought the Cornerstone rye was pretty good. I think this one will probably beat it. So with that said, that's all 10 of the Master's Keep expressions, and I'm fortunate and happy that I own all 10. No telling what they'll come out with next year, but I'm sure I'll be hunting it just as hard as I have all these. So the next video I hope to make, I'll kind of close out my kind of wild turkey kind of love here, and I'll show you where I keep my Russells and some various other kind of one-off wild turkey bottles I got in a pretty unique display stand that I'll talk about in the next video. But anyway, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. And then if there's something that you'd like me to talk about, or something that or you're curious about, please, by all means, ask questions and comments, and I'll try to answer the questions. But I appreciate you listening to me as I kind of talk for 24 minutes about my love of the Wild Turkey Master's Keeps, and I'll see you in the next video.